this $40 trillion debt. It's something, it's one of the reasons I got to Congress and decided to run, was we were coming up on a $4 trillion debt. A $4 trillion debt. Now, when Donald Trump got elected, he had promised that he was going to, I don't know if you remember, he promised he was going to pay down the deficit and he was going to pay down the national debt. He said it in 2018 that he was going to pay down the national debt. He said it on the campaign trail he was going to pay down the national debt. He hasn't done that. And the U.S. national debt just surpassed $40 trillion for the first time ever. That milestone was reached yesterday, only 5 months after it hit a record $39 trillion in debt in March. Our country is going to borrow more than $2 trillion this year just to pay for interest on the debt, including the war in Iran and tax cuts enacted last year, $2 trillion for that. And so Donald Trump, who promised, while he's sitting around there talking about construction projects, he promised he was going to pay off the debt. And yet he's responsible for a massive portion of the national debt. Reuters reports that it rose $7 to $8 trillion during his first term, with more than half of it accumulating during the pandemic response over his last 9 months in office. So far, the debt's increased by $3.8 trillion for a total of $11.6 trillion, only 6 years in office. So think about that. We've got a $40 trillion debt. Willie, he's responsible, many accounts, for anywhere from 25 to 30% of America's national debt. So what that means is, of the 45 presidents, even though he's 47, of the 45 presidents that this country has had, 45, Donald Trump is responsible for almost a third of this country's national debt. Him, the one. And it took us over 210 years for all of those presidents, from George Washington all the way through Bill Clinton, to together collectively pile on as much debt as Donald Trump has done by himself. It's credible. One final thing, forgive me, but you say 40 trillion and people's eyes glaze over. Think about it this way. If you made $1 million every day, $1 million every day to pay off the national debt, you would have to work for 109,000 years every day to pay off the national debt. And to put that into, I said, 109,589 years. I tallied it up. To put that in perspective, that's 20 times longer than all of recorded history. So that's how deep we are in debt. And we're so deep in debt that Americans are now paying interest on the debt at a higher level this year than they're paying for America's national defense. That's the first time that's ever happened, where your credit card debt from the federal government is actually higher than defense to protect our country.
And you're right. Sometimes these numbers get so big that you can't even process them. So it's important to put them in perspective. But the bottom line for people watching and people in our country is your interest rates go up as this continues to climb on your home mortgage, on your credit card, on your car payments, all that kind of stuff, among many other problems. And Joe, we've reached the point now. We have a $32 trillion economy with a $40 trillion debt. That's about 124%. If you just do public debt, which is what, economists really look at, that's about $32 trillion. Bottom line is our debt to GDP ratio is hovering at 100%, which is not a good place to be if you're an economy and the strongest economy in the world, and it has real impacts And as you say, Joe, this is something that was a bedrock conservative principle, going after debts and deficits, something you worked on 30-some years ago. Remember DOGE? That was all about like getting rid of government waste, streamlining the government and making it more effective, getting rid of our deficits, bringing down the debt. Well, of course, Elon Musk was nibbling around the edges, making symbolic firings of people in mid-level jobs in the government and not actually getting at the drivers of debt, including military spending, Joe, and we're in the middle of a war with no end in sight.
Well, a war that Americans are having to pay for, and tariffs that are making Americans pay more as far as inflation goes. But you're so right about DOGE. I had some people close to the president come to me telling me how great DOGE was. I go, well, what's he going after? And they started talking about the programs. I go, he's not going to save any money. Oh, no, he's going to save. And you have Elon Musk telling Lutnick, I'm going to cut up to $2 trillion. I just laughed. I said, no, you're not. You might get a couple of million, maybe a couple of billion. I said, you're going after 8% of the budget. Right. And that 8% of the budget that you're going after, there's not enough money to make any difference at all. They wouldn't listen. They never listen. And so what he did is he ended up being responsible for a lot of cuts that are going to kill a lot of people all over the world, the poorest, the most disenfranchised people all over the world. He's going to hurt a lot of basic functions in the U.S. government and not do anything towards the federal debt. So $40 trillion. Again, I'll say it again. You would have to make $1 million every day for over 109,000 years to pay off $40 trillion. It's not going to happen. But politicians in Washington, maybe they have to wait till Donald Trump gets out of town. I don't know. They're going to have to get serious because there's going to be an economic meltdown. And this is not an economic meltdown that will go away in 3, 6, 9 months. And it certainly won't be an economic meltdown that any Treasury secretary is going to be able to buy his way out of. Because the American dollar will be worthless at some point if these politicians in Washington, D.C. keep spinning us deeper and deeper into debt. Let's bring in with us the co-host of our 8 a.m. hour, staff writer at The Atlantic, Jonathan Lemire, MS Now senior national security reporter David Rode, MS Now contributor Elise Jordan, and presidential historian and Pulitzer Prize-winning author John Meacham. You know, John, this is an issue that may not be exciting to tons of Americans. They want to talk about, things that a little more exciting than fiscal responsibility. But, you know, there have been times, 1992 with Ross Perot, where people actually cared about deficits, 1994 when we ran, where it was the main issue. There have been times when people have cared. But we are at a time now, an economic time we've never been before, where, again, we're paying more. The federal government's paying more for paying interest on the debt than defending this country with Pentagon spending, and we're spending a lot on the Pentagon.
Yeah, when you were doing your mathematical analogy there, I was thinking the line that's attributed to Stalin, that one death is a tragedy, 1 million deaths is a statistic. You know, you can relate to one, yeah. You know, you can understand your own debt, but this feels, as Willie was saying, abstract. But you're right. There are political seasons, and people can, in fact, get politically passionate about it. Let's be clear. We're all responsible for this. There was an old political science term. Jonathan Rauch wrote a book about 30 years ago now, I guess, called demosclerosis, which was the idea that because each of us has a little piece of the pie, nobody wants to cut the pie, right? I mean, I sort of lost that metaphor, but we all have some benefit from the public wheel, whether it's a mortgage interest deduction or whatever it might be. And so it is a paralyzing reality in a democracy that what is absolutely essential in making a republic work is the capacity of people to defer their own gratification for a few minutes in order to create a context in which everybody can pursue lives of decency and dignity and prosperity. And I think one of the central problems we have, one thing that links the granite and the beautiful flagpole and these incredible numbers, is we've taken on this air of unreality. Politics is entertainment. It is a machinery of perpetual conflict. It doesn't matter what quality the fuel is going into it. It's just this ongoing reality show. And unfortunately, it's actually our reality.